Hi, my name is Alysia Boehner, and I am with your Cohorn Financial Group Insurance team. And today we wanted to cover a couple of things about some upcoming important changes with no-fault reform for the state of Michigan. So I know all you guys are hearing about in the news is the coronavirus, but no-fault reform is coming, and so we want to cover some things that will give us an update of what's changing, number one. Number two, some questions and food for thought for you to think about to prepare for a meeting with our employees. And number three, just some action items. So the first thing, what's changing with no-fault reform? Okay, there's two key things that we're going to cover today. The first one is PIP, which is personal injury protection. Your personal injury protection coverage is what pays for your medical bills in the event that you get into an accident in the state of Michigan. So up until recently, Michigan has had unlimited lifetime coverage. What this means is that if you get into an accident in Michigan and you are seriously hurt, you will have your medical bills paid for up to a lifetime with no cap in that dollar amount. So obviously that's very, very comprehensive coverage. Unfortunately, that comprehensive coverage has come at a cost, which is out of your pocketbook. So one of the things that's changing is moving forward, you guys are going to have options. So some of the options that you'll have with personal injury protection will be, yes, you will still have a lifetime unlimited option. You also will have an option to choose a $500,000 limit, a $250,000 limit. For those who are on Medicaid, they would qualify for a $50,000 limit. And then there are also special groups of people who may qualify to opt out of PIP entirely, specifically if you're on Medicare for your health insurance, or if your health insurance pays primary, which means that your health insurance would pay for you if you're hurt in an auto accident before your auto insurance would have to pay. So that's what's changing with PIP. The second key coverage thing that's changing is with bodily injury. Bodily injury is what pays for the other person when you get into an accident in the state of Michigan. And in most cases, you'll have a per person number and a per accident number. So the thing that's changing is the state minimum is increasing. Currently, the state minimum in Michigan is $20,000 per person, $40,000 per accident. That is going up to $50,000 per person, $100,000 per accident. Not only that, but the state of Michigan also now has a default limit of $250,000 per person, $500,000 per accident. So how does this actually play out in a coverage scenario? Well, if you get into an accident and the other person is injured, if one single person is injured, they will be limited for the per person number. So let's just say that's the $50,000 per person. One single person could only get $50,000 for their medical bills. Then the per accident number is $100,000. So that would be the total amount that any people involved in that accident, the total sum would pay. So let's say you hit a minivan full of people, or maybe you hit one person and they hit another person and then they hit another person. They would take that $100,000 per accident number, divide it by the people who are injured as fairly as possible. But no one person could get more than the $50,000 limit. Hopefully that makes sense. So why? Why are we changing this, and what does this mean? Well, the reason they're increasing the default bodily injury limit and recommending the $250,500 is because we are expecting to see, as a result of the personal injury protection changes, an increased quantity in lawsuits. So if you think about it from this angle, now we have people that might opt for a $250,000 personal injury protection limit. Let's say that one of those people gets into an accident with you and you are the person responsible. So that would mean that if their injuries were $400,000, they would have to seek for that medical compensation above the $250,000 limit elsewhere. And where do you think they're going to go? Well, most likely your auto insurance. So that's why your bodily injury limit is now even more important than ever to make sure that you're protecting yourself in the event that you are sued because of an accident. So then how do you decide the right amount? That's the next thing we want to cover. Well, there's a couple of things to think about. First thing is your net worth. So you have worked really, really hard to hopefully secure your financial future, and you don't want that to go away as a result of an auto claim. So the first thing we ask is that you think about your net worth and what you might have at risk financially. The second thing you might think about is your earning capacity. There are a lot of situations where maybe your net worth isn't very high because, say, you're a student that's just gotten your first job, you're paying off student loan debt, so you haven't had a chance to build your nest egg, but your earning capacity is actually pretty good. You're making decent money. In that case, a judge or a jury may say it's still fair to garnish your wages. So we still want to protect your financial well-being there. Then the other thing to think about is just your risk profile. So what might make you more likely than another person to have an accident? Some things that I can think of are if you're driving your vehicle for business and maybe you're on the road a lot. Or maybe another thing would be that if you're working late at night and you're driving while you are tired, or maybe other people on the road are tired, there might be an increased chance that you'd have an accident with someone who's tired or intoxicated. Another thing would be just the members of your household. So if you have young drivers in your house, we know statistically they are more likely to have an accident. So all of these are just kind of some things that you can think about to try to think about what coverage limit changes might make sense for you in your situation. So that's number 2. The thing we want you to think about is just maybe even make a list of what would make you more likely or less likely to have an accident than another person to prepare for our conversations. So what do we want to do from here? So the first thing we need to do is watch your mailbox. What we want you to do, pull out your auto ID card or your certificate of insurance in Michigan. On that certificate, there will be an expiration date. In your mail, you will receive a packet of paperwork from your company 30 to 90 days prior to that expiration date. This year, don't throw that in the trash can. You might have in the past, but don't do that this year. There's going to be forms that we need you to fill out and return if you do decide to make changes to your policy. So the second thing that we need you to do is just be watching your email and listening for calls from us. We have an email survey that's going to go out to you, and that is very, very important that you return that to us. One of the things that is changing is we need to make sure that all of the people that are in your household do still qualify for personal injury protection benefit. Third thing to know is that we are on top of this. We've been working hard to build out a process and a system, and unfortunately, as of today, we don't have the chance to quote these new changes with every single one of our carriers. So it's important that you guys kind of wait on us to give you a call. Otherwise, we might not be able to answer your questions and how changes will impact the pricing. But just rest assured that we will be reaching out to everyone in the next 3 to 6 months. And then lastly, we just ask that you start to think about some of those questions that we asked you earlier about what maybe makes you more or less susceptible in the event of an accident. That way, when we do reach out, you guys are prepared to have a good conversation and talk about what things you might want to change on your policy. So thanks a lot. We hope that you guys are happy and safe. We're really flattered and grateful that you've chosen Korhorn for your insurance needs. We know you have a ton of options, and so just thank you very much for choosing us. Have a great day.